If there's one thing that bothers me, it's being gaslit, lied to, bamboozled. When I know something to be true and people tell me like the sky is green, okay? And they refuse to admit when they've lied. You point it out and they go, nope, never happened. That drives me nuts. And recently this has sort of happened with the rabbit story. I got gaslit extensively, but also now they're accusing me of being biased, not objective, unbalanced. So I want to read the comments I gave to them and their responses in full, because obviously during a short video like we do on CoffeeZilla, even only 17 minutes, we don't have time to read what is like, I think we have like 15 pages of emails together. But I want to read them here because I think the full context doesn't help anything for them. Because recently, it's just grinding my gears, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. This is the most recent response they gave me, the last response they gave me after I went to them and I said, hey, somebody who worked at your company came to me and he said, the lamb as advertised currently does not exist. Big accusation, right? Huge, massive accusation. I'm not just going to go run that. I got to go to you. I got to see what you're going to say. So I go to them and they say, given the approach and allegations in your first video and your treatment of the responses we provided, that's the GAMA video, it is clear you're not interested in taking a balanced approach or working with us in good faith. You can find the statement. And then they basically gave me just like this copy paste nonsense statement. I basically like, we are proud of what we do. We stand behind our product. Okay. That's the part obviously didn't bother me. You're fine to do that. But they said, hey, you're not interested in taking a balanced or objective approach. When I know that nobody reached out to these guys who made a bad review of this thing more than I did, trying to get to their side of the story, trying exactly to do what they're telling me I'm not doing. So it really got my goat. I'm not going to lie. So I'm going to just read all of this email. It's going to be long. Buckle up. If you're not ready for it, it might not be for you. But if you want to go on a journey with me, if you want to see what they did to me, buckle up. Okay. By the way, all the redactions are for their employees' sake. It was a bunch of employees talking to me. I don't really want to get anyone else involved. I mean, to me, it's not about that. It's just about a company and specifically Jesse, who made a lot of promises and didn't deliver. So I have no vendetta against anybody specifically here. I just want to talk about the company's response to me. And that's what I feel kind of gaslit by. So I started with, May 13th. Hi, I'm CoffeeZilla. I'm an investigative journalist trying to reach Jesse Liu, make sure he has the chance to respond. I have questions for him and his team about Rabbit R1 and his history with Gamma. Okay, at this point, all I'm really thinking is this is a Gamma story. This guy promised Bitcoin 2.0, crypto 2.0. I thought that was interesting. I was like, this is crazy. Now he's raised $30 million. How did he do this? Let's talk about it. So, I want to get a hold of him. So they respond, thanks for reaching out, let's see. Hi, Steven. Thanks for reaching out. And I'm sorry, the emails are like upside down. Do you have any particular questions that you would like answers to? What is your timeline for the story? This is the team member that responds to me. And, I was thinking I'd probably release it Friday. That ended up getting extended. So I'm thinking I need my comment, by Wednesday. To be honest, a lot of this stuff is flexible, but you have to give people a deadline. Otherwise, they will just literally waste your time as long as they possibly can. So I say, look, I think 48 hours is reasonable, especially since I know they're reading it. So 48 hours, Wednesday. I'd prefer to do a video interview with Jesse, published unedited for everyone to see. I find people relate more to video interviews, and text responses can come off very canned. That's true. I think really what I was thinking of is I don't want an overly lawyered response. I just want to have a conversation with these people, and specifically with the founder who is making all the promises. I thought it's not that useful to hear a team's like lawyered response about why you promised XYZ. I thought it would be more interesting to hear Jesse's. So that's why I said that. And so they responded to me and they sent me a fact sheet. Now they did this to me quite a lot. Basically what you're seeing is going to be like sort of what I call like a press kit. This is sort of broad overviews of what they did, specifically with the lamb. And then their fact sheet, this is just their accounting of events. And basically it gives like the before Gamma, Jesse founded Raven Tech, then he did this RCT studio. I just felt like I was reading someone's, sort of resume a little bit. They make certain claims like neither Gamma nor Jesse had ever created or sold cryptocurrency, which I thought to myself like, yeah, that's the problem though. You said you were gonna sell a cryptocurrency. Isn't that sort of the point? Like you said you're gonna launch this coin. So anyway, I found it totally unhelpful. but I have to show you it. So they say I'm not leaving anything out. So anyways, I say, hi, thanks for the fact sheet, but this does not answer my questions. Please confirm if Jesse would or would not like to do an interview. If yes, I will save my questions for him. If no, I will forward my questions. Because my idea here is I'm not going to pre-give you questions. It's sort of the worst thing you can do as an interviewer, especially if it might be confrontational. You do not want people to be like, have like their script out. Because once again, it gets back to that part about you get canned responses. And that's what I'm trying to avoid, because I know they've made all these promises and I just want to ask them about it and see what they would say. So at this point, I'm thinking, still holding out hope for the interview. And basically they say, just send over your questions and we'll go from there. They're not interested in the interview. So I say, hi, I do not give out questions ahead of time for interviews, so I'll take your response to mean Jesse is refusing the interview, sending over questions. So anyway, I basically ask 6 big questions for Rabbit. Most of it's centered around Gamma because that's my story at this point. I say, where does the excess money go for Gamma? Because they raised $6 million for 3 things. And one of the big ones was launching a coin and this energy grid thing. So they said they had money to do it. They said, look, you don't have to worry about the NFTs failing. We have enough money to do it all. So I said, look, there's excess money. Where is it? Where did it go? Where did those excess funds go? I said, Jesse spoke extensively about Gamma Coin via AMAs, as well as a comic book series, AI NPCs via, all this stuff. Why was the second and third stage of the Gamma project abandoned? Jesse claimed he would buy your Gammas for anyone who didn't see the vision of the company. Where's that? Given that it didn't fulfill its second and third promises, is it fair to say Jesse and Cyber Manufacturer Co. scammed customers and retail investors? How can Rabbit investors and customers be sure Jesse will not pivot to another product again? Because obviously, like, if you're going to go from one product to another product just because it's hype now, AI's hype, so you jump to the other thing, why are we expecting that when the interest in the R1 dies, you're not going to do the same thing, right? And then finally, I had one question, a single solitary question about the lamb, which is, hey, look, this was supposed to act intelligently, but in the background, playwright scripts are controlling the UI. Do you guys consider that to be the lamb? Like, what part of the process exactly is the lamb involved in? So yeah, that's basically it. Those are my basic questions. And they say, hi, confirming, we will get back to you. And at this point, I'm still holding out hope. Like, seems like they're going to respond. Seems like they're responsive. So I'm kind of hoping that we can get a good dialogue going. And this is where things kind of went wrong. They respond on May 15th, Wednesday, by the deadline. Hi, Stephen. Thanks for sharing your list of questions with us. Our team has put a detailed list of responses below. I've copied my colleagues, blank and blank, who have been working together on the team with this to give you all the information. We know so they start responding to my questions. The $6 million in venture funding was raised for the Gamma project, was used for that project only. In particular, it was used for headcount, product development, design, messaging, marketing, startup. This is the kind of like nonsense speak that I'm talking about. Because I'm wondering, you guys said you had the money for the Gamma coin, the grid, all these crazy ideas, these AI NPCs. You said you had the money for it. You said, we don't need the NFTs to fund this. We've got the money. That didn't happen. And now you're saying the money's gone. That's weird. So they said, can you let us know where you heard about excess funds? We didn't get any details in your email. If you're referring to the $6 million raised for the Gamma project, the team delivered on all the deliverable. This is where my eyebrow like raised to the sky. Officially promised in Gamma's roadmap, which are Gamma Space Station Metaverse, Unreal Engine 5 Metaverse Project, and blockchain digital art. Additionally, the team delivered above and beyond the initial scope, including an AI plugin to enable active NPCs, printed comic books, and clean energy initiatives like reducing gas fees for the NFT transactions. Now, this is like where my head like blew off. I was like, delivered all the what are you talking about? You delivered nothing, or almost nothing. Almost nothing. I can't say that. Almost nothing. Basically, what they had done is they had open sourced the project and dumped their, like, I would say it's pretty clearly unfinished Unreal Engine project. The AI plugin they talked about, I tried to access it. It's a dead link because it's a centralized project. So when you decentralize a project where they're relying on your servers, your server AI, whatever, it's not going to work. And then they start talking about these clean energy initiatives. But it's like, you didn't promise clean energy initiatives for reducing gas fees. You promised solar panels. So this all got me really like, I was upset at this because like, look, we delivered everything. And this is where I get to the feeling of, okay, I'm getting gaslit. you guys know, I guess I didn't share this part. Part of my first email to them was I shared a bunch of Jesse's quotes just so they would know that I wasn't like an idiot who you could blow smoke at. I knew that he had said things like, hey, the 6 million USD are for Gamaverse and Future Stage. We don't want to make it a hype and dump. Gamma Coin, which is Bitcoin 2.0. These are all quotes from his Clubhouse. And of course they have his Clubhouse, but I want them to know that I have the Clubhouse calls too. If anyone's not envisioning Gamma to stage 2 or 3, reach out to me. I will buy your Gammas. We're not betting on stage 2 and 3 only if stage 1 becomes successful. Okay, even if it's a failure to the utmost, we don't care. Basically, we're going to keep pushing. Huge groundbreaking ideas from free energy and Gamma Coin. So now I know that they know that, and yet they are they're gaslighting me like this. This is like really frustrating. So anyway, to try to find where I am. Here we are. So yeah, they're saying, oh, we got all the deliverables done. The coin you refer to never materialized, nor was it ever promised or delivered. The idea was brought up by some conversations with major investors and community members. The team ultimately decided not to release any coins. Jesse and the Gamma team have never released cryptocurrency or any coins. Let me move this over. In any form. The only ownership objects community members could own are blockchain-based digital art. Now, as I said, I knew that this was not true, but as I showed in my video, they've literally released video like promotional material saying cryptocurrency, carbon negative cryptocurrency, while with Jesse saying this is part of their roadmap. Okay, so I know and they know that they're lying here, but somehow we're kind of going round and round. This is what I'm talking about that drives me crazy. But we're just at the first question, okay? They've responded to, and I'm already furious. But then they say, Jesse spoke extensively. This is my question about like the AI NPC brain logic. And they said, oh, AMAs is like, we were just openly discussing ideas of the project. I knew from this moment that what they were trying to basically say is Clubhouse calls don't count. They don't count. That is part of the roadmap. The problem was Jesse was on the record saying, hey, we're explaining the roadmap in the Clubhouse calls. So he was saying like, yeah, we're basically laying out the roadmap of what we're going to do in these calls. You got to listen to the calls. And then they say like, oh, no, that wasn't binding. And then they say, we disagree with the notion that Gamma was an abandoned project for 3 reasons. First, they delivered on all the items they promised. Second, all the work was open source. Third, the decision to sunset remaining development on the project was made in alignment with investors, community members, and Gamma team. I never found any evidence for that. But I also found it odd that they were like, we've delivered everything we promised, and also we sunsetted remaining development. Well, if I found that a little odd. Like, if you've done everything you promised, why are you saying you had to stop? Like, right? But anyway, they continue. The team delivered on items they promised, and they brought up this comic book. Now, to be honest, I didn't know they had made a comic book at the time of writing. And this is one of the things I found out, and I was like pretty surprised. And we included it in our first video that they actually made a comic book. Turns out that was like one of the few things they actually delivered on. They really made a comic book. It wasn't like AI art. It was actually done nicely. But then they said, yeah, they expand on like the environmental part. The AI plugin to enable NPCs was delivered on March 10th, where you could talk to crew members that the team brought to life, which they handed over the source code for the community at the conclusion of the project. Again, this API was not working, and I asked them about it. They didn't respond. The allegation that never happened is false. We were happy to share photos and the merch we distributed in comic book suite. The team open sourced the project as they concluded the project. Can you share with us more details you found? Previous records on stage 1, 2, and 3 were defined. The team did not have a clear product roadmap when it came to stages of the project, but instead worked on several things throughout the Gamma period. From the team's perspective, they ultimately concluded that the 3 main stages and deliverables were as followed. And then they kind of like define their own deliverables, which are like the few things that they actually did. They say stage 1 was when we sold NFTs, stage 2 was the comic books, and stage 3 was the Gamma metaverse. I'm not even going to quibble with the fact that their metaverse wasn't a real metaverse, whatever. This is not the 3 stages they promised, and I shared with them a screenshot about this. During stage 3, we outlined in the project, this is their CTO, joined the company to enable work on the AI plugin, which called Quantum Engine with Jesse. The Quantum Engine plugin was open sourced together with the GSS Metaverse in the Discord on November 2023. The decision to conclude the project was made based in alignment among investors, community members, and Gamma team. This is like what they kept saying. And I kept wondering to myself, like, what are you talking about? Made in alignment. You're telling me your holders didn't want a crypto coin. You're telling me your holders didn't want a part of an energy grid. I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. Throughout the entire Gamma project, the team communicated openly with the community and stakeholders. This is not true. Well, anyways, they're going to say, oh, it's in our opinion, whatever. They ghosted the project for months. They're equally transparent when they decided to conclude the project and make the business pivot, as we shared in the fact sheet. Once again, not transparent. Conscious of the need to support the existing GSS metaverse community, the team led a Twitter AMA with the community in September 2023 to discuss the future direction of the project, and in alignment with community input, decided to make the GSS metaverse open source, an approach that preserved existing NFTs. The team concluded the Gamma project when it handed the open source code over to the community and shared the quantum engine for free in a Discord post. I'm not going to go over again about how some of this stuff is non-functional, but I will say this is something I've actually seen other teams do with NFTs. They say, hey guys, I've got a great idea. We're going to take this project and I want to have a talk with you guys about what we should do with it. And then what they do is they bring up the people they want and they go, hey guys, I really think we should go this direction. And the direction is always towards less responsibility for them. It's always towards like, hey, we should just open source this, huh guys? Shouldn't we just like not do what we promised? Shouldn't we just and then they always jerry rig like the results. Like I've seen before. I'm not saying they did this because I don't know if this Twitter AMA they're talking about is like up. They've deleted a lot of their stuff, but I've seen teams before. What they'll do is like they'll literally hack the voting. They'll just hire a bunch of bots to like vote for, hey, the team doesn't have to do anything anymore. So anyways, that's their response. I was upset about it. I was bothered by it. Oh, we're not even done. Wait, hold on. And look, I know there's a lot. This is why I couldn't cover it in the whole video, right? But they also respond, look, Jesse claimed he would buy back the Gammas, 450 ETH, refund. Where's the refund? We don't agree with calling the project abandoned when it was open source and given back to the community in line with the community feedback. That is the biggest, this stuff bothers me so much because it's not like they were like, hey guys, you know, like asking every investor. At best, they held a Twitter AMA as like, hey guys, we're thinking of open sourcing it. Like that's it. What is it, guys? What is it? And then you can say, oh yeah, see guys, it was in alignment with community feedback. What one guy said, yeah, I think that's fine. What is alignment with community feedback mean? You didn't do what you said you were gonna do. After you said multiple times, don't worry about the money, we've got it. So anyway, they say the claim from Jesse was taken out of context. The situation was there was a group of people trying to do malicious wash trading and reselling of their NFTs. To prevent that trend from happening, Jesse decided to buy back the NFTs from the sellers to maintain the balance and order of the community and market. So I don't actually think this is right. In the quote, he's like saying, look, if you're just looking for a hype and dump project, if you're looking to make a quick buck, contact me and I will buy it back from you. This is typically what happens. Like Sam Bankman-Fried did this at one point with Solana. A bunch of people were selling Solana and he's like, if you're looking for a quick buck, if you just want like Solana, you want to sell your Solana, I'll buy it. I'll buy it. The whole idea is like, it's just supposed to be a sign that the guy's invested in the project. But it is a clear signal like, hey, if you don't believe in this thing, come to me, I'll buy your NFTs. So I just thought it was like relevant to pull up. But they're saying, oh no, we can't possibly do it. That's what they always say. There's no way to actually refund an NFT unless the owners agree to burn the NFTs on the blockchain. Just ask Logan Paul how to do this. He knows. I think you can do it. So anyway, he says, they just basically say, hey, these NFTs are still valuable. This is something that pisses me off. This is the biggest grift of the NFT claim is people will launch an NFT. Watch this. People will launch an NFT and they'll say, this NFT is going to be valuable for X, Y, Z reasons. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things. And then when they abandon the project, they go, hey, we haven't taken away your ability to trade the NFT. It still exists. Yeah, but you just didn't do any of the things you promised. That's the whole problem. The whole reason that this NFT would be valuable, ostensibly, is because you were going to work on it. You abandon it and goes, hey, it's still an NFT. You promised things with the NFT. Anyway, I'm so triggered, dude. I don't know if you can tell. I'm triggered. I got to get through this video so they can't say I'm taking them out of context. Okay, I say, this is my question about they didn't deliver on stage 2 and 3. They're going to quibble with that. All They say, absolutely not. All investors and retail customers were aware of the decision to sunset the core gaming project. Again, I don't even know how you could say that with a straight face. How can Rabbit investors and customers be sure that they'll not pivot to a new product? And they say, well, we're fully dedicated and demonstrating this commitment through significant operational support. Yeah, but you did the same thing with Gamma. Okay, I'm not going to respond. I'm just going to read this. In the 3 months, the team has quadrupled the engineering team. By the way, I found that so strange. Like, in the past 3 months, you already sold all this product and you're quadrupling your team. You don't already have this stuff locked down. You don't already have the product. Did you sell first and design later? Anyway, I think that's a huge issue. But the team pushed out 3 major software updates in 2 weeks. We fixed a lot of things thanks to direct feedback. One of the most exciting things is the people who receive the R1 already keep using it. They give me a few stats. Our Discord has grown, blah, blah, blah. They're just hyping up their own thing. Okay, anyways. The Rabbit R1 Lamb. Then I ask about the Lamb. And they say, hey, you can find this one pager here. Now, this annoyed me because this is very similar to what they did to me a question ago, where they send me some generic thing and they go, hey, doesn't that answer all your questions? And no, it never does. So in this little link, they tell me that, oh, you know, this is where they admit they use Playwright. They go, hey, overview of Lamb security and architecture. They admit Playwright is a well-designed tool that enables a model like Lamb to control consumer web apps. The majority, blah, blah, blah. And then like the first paragraph just says basically, hey, we use Playwright. And then everything else down here is not actually useful to my question. So it seems like this is what they did to me a lot. This is the other thing that bothered me. And it's really kind of a sneaky move. You dump so much information in your answers, but so much of it is nonsense or not relevant to the question. And then you can say, hey, we provided them everything. No, you didn't actually answer my core question. My core question here was, what part of the process exactly is Lamb involved in? Does Rabbit consider Playwright scripts to be part of Lamb? They've never answered this. Well, at least, especially not in that thing. We'll keep reading more. So those are the responses they gave to me. Okay. That was the first big like volley of responses. So after that, I said, hey, would love to see the comic books. Please send an e-copy tomorrow. I don't need a physical copy. The last thing I want is them to ship me something. That's what they would do, and send it like via ground, and it would take 8 days to get it. I just want an e-copy. The rest of this is hard to follow up on. Okay, this is where actually I was considering throwing in the towel on this whole like get their response, because I realized, okay, they're just going to gaslight me. They're just going to lie about like they promised a bunch of stuff, they didn't deliver it, and they're saying they delivered everything. You can't talk much with people like that. So I'm thinking maybe we just cut our losses here. And we've tried, you know, but they've given us their response. We'll run that and just call it a day. Your counting of events is inconsistent with public statements with Jesse about Gamma, AMAs, roadmaps, team statements, public community statements. Despite this, I'll make a noted response. Thanks for giving it. I'm trying to be real brief because I'm realizing, okay, you said you had the comics, send those, and let's just cut our losses. But they kind of follow up and are like, no, you have to engage with us. They say, happy to send an e-copy tomorrow. We've spent a lot of time to get to the bottom of the truth, to put together a timeline based on the activities that truly happened. This is where I'm feel so, anyway, we are more than happy to respond to and figure out each difference you find among public statements you refer to, because we sincerely want your audiences to hear the true story, and as I believe is your intention as well. They say, we have spent the time and efforts to help you with your investigation, and we'd love to hear your answers to our questions as well. Truly appreciate it. They're dragging me back in. So I'm thinking to myself, all right, fine. You want to go there? Let's go there. I say, thanks for reaching back out. Looking forward to the comic. Like you, I'd love to get to the truth of what happened, but your team is denying basic statements Jesse made on Clubhouse and on Discord about the Gamma Coin clean energy grid that he said he was going to build. Let me remind you of what Jesse promised on Clubhouse. Gamma Coin, which is Bitcoin 2.0, that is 100% generated by clean electricity. Let's say you have a Gamma NFT. That means you own the equal portion of your valuation in NFTs. At that moment of the clean energy grid that we started building in that real world, that means you own that power. We have this huge groundbreaking idea about the Gammaverse, blah, blah, free energy, Gamma Coin. We're not betting on stage 2 and 3 happens only if stage 1 is successful. I just give them more of the quotes, right? Same quotes, just more of it. And then I show them in Discord, it wasn't just about the AMAs. He says, have you read through the history and status report and Clubhouse session recordings? I am basically sharing the entire roadmap for the next 18 months, contradicting their claim that, look, these AMAs are worthless. And then he says, NFT, GSS, Gamma coin. To me, those are the three stages, right? You've got the NFTs, you got the Gamma metaverse, whatever thing, and then you've got this Gamma coin, which is including this like clean energy part. And then we also have a quote from him in Chinese, which is about the like clean energy grid. So I say, if everyone at Rabbit is serious about this, let's start with the facts. Jesse promised a carbon negative Gamma coin and clean energy grid as part of the roadmap multiple times. An open source Unreal project is not a metaverse. A gas efficient NFT is not a clean energy grid. I ran the Unreal project today. It's barely functional. And that's even exaggerating. I mean, this thing it literally took me like 2 hours to get running. I had to call an Unreal Engine like person to help me troubleshoot it. I was giving them so much more than an average person would give this game to actually get it running, and it still was garbage, had almost no content. AI API is calling a website that's currently dead. The Unreal Engine is a reskin of the Unreal Starter Kit Lyra. Jesse could and should refund this project because he did not deliver what was promised. This project was abandoned by the team before the roadmap was met, no matter how much twisting is done to the phrase open source. If Jesse disagrees, we can have that debate on one of my channels. I'm happy to do it unedited. Okay. So at this point, I'm thinking maybe they're going to get the clue. And, you know, how can you really argue this, right? How could I feel like in this case specifically, the facts were so concrete. It's not about he said, she said, because the he said in this case is Jesse. And then the she said is also the team saying Jesse didn't say that. So it's like, you're not even arguing with me. You're arguing with your own guy. They say, appreciate the breakdowns. We, as the Rabbit team, want to help you as much as we can to do the investigation you initiated because we believe that you want to report the truth. And again, this is so funny because later they say, I don't want to report the truth after I just disagree with them. But anyways, and because you have reached out to us about your confusions and questions, I thought this point was interesting. As we look into this together, I hope you can be generous with your time and patience because we joined Rabbit to work on an exciting product, and we do sincerely hope that we need to first focus our time on improving and delivering Rabbit's products and campaigns. Gamma, in our opinion, and as stated in the fact sheet, has no connection with Rabbit, but as your subject line pointed out, this is an R1 Media request. We will work to get you answers to the best of our ability. Let us know the notes you flagged one by one and get back to you. And again, thanks for your patience. Now, I will say some of these things they never got back to me about. They just ended up saying, look, you're a bias. We can't get back to you. Okay. So I say, hi, I appreciate the tough position you're in because honestly, I don't want to be talking to this person. I want to be talking to Jesse because he's the one who made the promises. But saying it's the team's opinion and stated in the fact sheet that Rabbit isn't Gamma doesn't make it so. It's the same company with the same incorporation. You've just changed the name. If I change my name to Dave and send you a fact sheet saying we aren't the same person, it doesn't make it true. Rabbit is Gamma because it's the same company. Now, this is sort of an error of fact, actually. This is not correct. Rabbit is not Gamma. Gamma was a project that was created by the same company that Rabbit is. There's a little technical issue there. Jesse slapped a new name on it. Speaking of Rabbit, though, I have major concerns about Lamb that still need answers. This is where I start, like, getting more curious about the Lamb. I'm like, look, you're gaslighting me about all this other stuff. What about this Lamb? You gave me this weird non-answer about what Lamb is. Let's start digging into that. So this is where I started the real Lamb investigations. And look, I say, I'm not going to read all of this. Basically, I say, look, I can't find this Lamb. What does it do? How is it different than a playwright script? What is it actually doing on device? Because at this point, I've reviewed some of the code of Rabbit, and I've realized what they do when they get your request is they send it to GPT 3.5 Turbo, they process it into a little JSON file, and then they just send that over to, then they call a playwright script. I didn't see like the point where the Lamb like connected into the box. So that's what I was asking about. And then they say, hi, I say, hi, just following up on the comic book. You said it sent it this morning. I'm just wondering where it is. So they send it to me. Now, should I show that? Maybe I should show that. It's actually pretty cool. This is ironically probably the coolest thing Gamma did. I just thought it was cool they actually did this. I will give them credit for that. So, you know, the problem was this is really like one of the smallest parts of the whole Gamma metaverse. If you consider like, would you rather have a clean energy grid or a comic So yeah, I got to give them credit for that. But then we get to their response. Good evening. Circling back to your question from yesterday, before we dive in, I want to say I understand the timeline of Gamma is complicated, but that's exactly why we spend a lot of time gathering information for that fact sheet we shared for you. And we sincerely hope you read through them because we're going back and forth on things we explained and made pretty clear on. Okay. This is just, they're just saying you don't agree with our accounting of the facts and you don't agree with our timeline, so therefore you haven't read it. But in reality, I have read it, but their timeline is incorrect. They say, one, Gamma is a project, not a company. They're right about this. They're totally right. They're wrong about the point because Gamma still is totally relevant to Rabbit, but they kind of get me on this whole point about like, look, the company's called Cyber Manufacturing, so your claim of saying it's the team's opinion and stating a fact sheet of Rabbit doesn't make it so. That's true. They're wrong about what comes next, but anyway, that's true. They say you've just changed the name is not correct. Also, that means your claim of Rabbit is Gamma because it's the same company is false and not true. Yeah, that's true. Gamma is the project. I thought it was obvious because that was Cyber Manufacturing Co. was Gamma and Gamma was Cyber Manufacturing Co. Like that was the one thing they were doing. So it seemed like that was obvious, but okay, they're technically right about that. I also want to paste the information in the fact sheet because we hope you take the time to read the materials. And this is where they say, hey, in August 2023, they filed an amendment. And they basically say, look, they changed the name and to be consistent with the new direction of focusing on AI devices and announcing new funding led by Khosla Ventures. 2, we never shied away from the fact that Rabbit is named from Cyber Manufacturing, as you can see from Rabbit's early media coverage. So actually, I don't think that's true. What I mean by that is they have consistently avoided Gamma. They've tried to avoid talking about it. They've said we have nothing to do with crypto. So I saw early media coverage where they did point out the fact it's the same company, but I don't know how much that was Rabbit's intention. And they certainly, at the time we were investigating, were not happy about having to constantly answer these questions about Gamma. They were not happy with the association. So go back to your example. You used, if I change my name to Dave to send you a fact sheet and saying we aren't the same person doesn't make it true. No, but it doesn't because you and Dave would be the same person sharing the same blood and same veins. Instead, in this case, all of the people in this team you are talking to right now, plus the core product and engineering team, were hired and chose to work for Rabbit, Rabbit's vision, and Rabbit's products. You just accused all of the people working hard on a real product day and night to make the product and brand better for something that we didn't engage in, that's something that happened in the past just because the product company was once named differently. This action alone simply doesn't align with your goal to get to the truth of what happened. So why exactly are you trying to slap Gamma on the Rabbit's team name when that's simply not true? Now, this really annoyed me because I felt like they were taking personally something that I was targeting at a company's history, and I didn't want to even be talking to them. I wanted to be talking to Jesse this whole time because he is the thread of continuity, as is the money that Rabbit or that Cyber Manufacturing company raised, that it doesn't seem like they spent the whole amount. They say they did, but I say they said they had money for all the stuff that they didn't deliver. So where's that money? So I found it weird. It was clear to me this person was taking it very personally. I felt bad for them because I'm like, I didn't ask you to respond to me. You shouldn't be responding to me. How do you even know what happened or what Jesse promised when he's the one that promised it? So anyway, I kind of felt bad at that point, but I'm like, what do you want me to do? You're the only one who will talk to me. He doesn't want to interview. So now let's talk about Rabbit and Lamb. They give my quote, and they say, to start off, I'd love to know more about your background in tech. This is very sassy. This is very, I felt like it was coming from more of a place of being annoyed with me, not from a place of, actually a real response. So they kind of give this like sassy response. Now let's get back to your question. We have developed, and then they quote their product, like the thing they already sent me. And this again annoyed me because I was like, you already sent me this. I already told you this doesn't answer the question. How does this answer the question of where is Lamb in this product, right? It's just some generic little like statement. Anyway, she says, or they say, this is a direct quote from Rabbit's research page. And within that page, you can also find a video showing exactly how Lamb functions on the user experience and on the web. I saw it, didn't answer it. 2 questions here. Can you share with us what actions you take to try to trace the Lamb, and how do you define the trace of Lamb? To use a parallel comparison, like your Dave example, what trace of LLM did you find on ChatGPT? Regardless, please find the answer below. Our engineering team has put together for you of I can't find a trace of lamb anywhere in the R1. And then they literally copy and paste what they already sent to me again. Hope you're enjoying the comic books, and we didn't finish forget the previous questions. Circle back when you have your responses. So at this point, they've just re-quoted what they already sent to me, got really mad at me, said I am accusing the employees of all these things. Admittingly, my big mistake here was just conflating Gamma and Cyber Manufacturing Co., which is like a mistake, but it's kind of like an easy, fix. So anyway, I respond, if you'd like to clarify, Gamma is a project of Cyber Manufacturing Company, which is the same company as Rabbit Inc. That's fine, you can do it. But it's not true that Gamma has no connection with Rabbit. That was my only point. It's like they were saying, we have nothing to do with that. It's like, no. Same company. If the same company promises something to one group and the other group, they're still responsible, I simply pointed out the company has not fulfilled its obligations to previous investors in Gamma. The amount of gaslighting on this topic is unbelievable. From the part of about R1, yes, I've seen the Rabbit statement about, I give their statement. That's precisely what's so odd. Your system takes human language input, since it's a GPT 3.5 Turbo, gets meaning, and if it's an action, performs a pre-written playwright script, which is not AI or LAM itself. Where in this system is the LAM? Where in the pipeline is the LAM the selection of the playwright script? If so, tell me. I would love to hear an answer of how the LAM is used to go from ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo to taking the input to getting the playwright script execution. Your engineer's response has not addressed this question at all. Where in the LAM is the pipeline? At this point, I'm kind of feel like I'm like repeating myself, but I kind of give them an example. Like, is it voice, GBT, and then like LAM is in the question mark spot, and then playwright scripts? Very simple question. Is it in the hard coding the playwright scripts? That is LAM, or is it something else? You can kind of see my confusion here. And I'm trying to avoid like really engaging in like the personal offense about, you're accusing us of things, because I'm not. Hi there. Hope you had a great weekend. Circling back on parts of the answers as we're trying to reach back to each reference you have pointed out. More to follow. Additionally, we let Jesse know that you reached out to him via DM. So just letting you know, he is helping us get all the facts shared with you, and he's aware of all the answers we provided. If you have any questions with him, please share them with us. Blah, blah, blah. We respect your priority as a content creator, so please kindly understand Jesse has his priority focused on Rabbit, but is actively helping with what you need. Okay. Yes. Gamma. Hold on. Let me get a drink, dude. Hold on. It's been 42 minutes. All this work to hear that I'm biased, right? All this work to ask them questions, try to hear them, but just because I don't believe what they say, now I'm the bad guy. Anyways, all right. Yes, Gamma is a project of Cyber Manufacturing Company, which is renamed to Rabbit. More than 80% of current employees at Rabbit joined the company after December 2023. I just don't see why that matters. Okay, can we land together on facts? We landed here collectively. They say it's got renamed. Rabbit has always been public about the renaming. This is a part that I disagree with. I think they've been a little cagey and shady about it. So even in like the way, you can even look at the way Jesse describes the Gamma project. He's like, oh, it's like a fun little project. Fun little COVID thing. It's like, oh, it's a little bit more than that. You're going to call Rabbit a fun little COVID project? Anyway, as we have reiterated several times, all investors and retail customers were aware of the decision. I just don't know where they're getting this. You accuse the company of not fulfilling obligations to previous investors in Gamma. Can you please name one investor that has raised concerns over this project? But then they get to one of my favorite parts where they tell me I'm not getting gaslit. Or they say it's like subjective, which is the funniest, most pitch perfect response to gaslighting is telling somebody, you're not being gaslit. You're crazy. It's all in your head. They're literally telling me the gaslighting is in my head. They're going, it's subjective. They literally say the term gaslighting comes from a very subjective point of view of yours. It's all in my head. Because I was not involved with the Gamma project. I was not an investor. I made assumptions. Can we assume you base all your analysis and investigation on this? You failed to name any investors. Just look at your Discord. Anyway, whatever. That have raised any concern on this project and yet still call out this company for failing to fulfill its obligations. Please explain why you're making this accusation and what arguments you have. Yeah, okay, whatever. I'm not even going to dignify that. If you look from the coverage of Protos, where the reporter reached out to Aaron Lee, one of the engineers that was actually involved in the project and built the technical system of Gamma, You can find where he said he believes there was no attempt to hide, deceive, or scam, that throughout his interactions with Jesse, they appeared to be acting in good faith. Sorry to say, your former engineer saying a nice thing is not equivalent to you just delivering concrete things that you promised. If you go back to the Gamma AMA, during the time mark 108.08, where one of the mods, Dylan, asked about the potential plans for Gamma and maybe currency in the Gammaverse or outside the Gammaverse, Jesse laughed and responded, first of all, again, nothing I say is final, okay? So don't hold my words about this. This is pure craziness we have in mind. And then he goes on to discuss how he thinks about clean energy solutions in general. I believe we live in a country that values free speech. From your perspective, from your standpoint, does Jesse's open discussion about his vision indicate the company is failing to meet its obligations to its investors? More to follow. Now, after being told that I wasn't gaslit, right, and after being told it was all free speech of Jesse, I'm now annoyed, obviously. This whole thing was like so frustrating and obnoxious to have to like trap them in their own words. But here I try again. Hi, all. I've tried to interview Jesse several times. The offer remains open because they had said like, oh, Jesse's around. They said, ask him any questions you want. I said, look, I've tried to, you know. Anyway, I'm assuming at this point these responses represent the team broadly, and Jesse agrees. I think gaslit applies perfectly here. I'm having people tell me Jesse did not promise something and tell me I'm wrong or confused when he definitely promised it. I am not sourcing Gamma promises from one quote back in November. That's what they said. Like, look, he said one time on Clubhouse that he wasn't, don't hold him to this. But he said it over and over. I'm not trying to hold him to the November quote. I'm trying to hold him to all the other times he said it, and he said explicitly it's the roadmap. Trying to pretend Jesse did not promise a Gamma coin because of a free speech caveat back in November is wild. He spoke continuously about it in Discord. See the screenshots I've shared earlier where he mentions Gamma coin as part of a roadmap. 3 months later, he releases a video in February, which is 4 months later, announcing a roadmap with a video that ends in a promise of the Gamma token, first ever carbon negative cryptocurrency powered by our sun. Gamma coin went way beyond free speech speculation, so did the clean energy grid. As I shared in the screenshot, Jesse stated that 10% of taxes on NFTs were because they were going to build a clean energy solution with the fees. That's what they said, like OpenSea has fees, and they said, look, the reason they're 10%, that's pretty high, is because we're going to use those to like help build the clean energy grid. So they were literally taking money for some of these promises. Taking money for making promotional material, making statement after statement is not open discussion. It's part of the pitch of why users should buy NFTs. This part of my investigation went live today. Check it out. I've extensively shared your perspective and why I disagree with it. The next part will be about LAMP, which has a lot of open questions. Please respond to this part as soon as possible, because at this point, they've just sent me a bunch of like web pages that say nothing to the point of what I'm actually asking. And then we're almost done. They don't respond to that. Instead, I don't know why they don't respond to that. They don't respond. And then I have to follow up again Wednesday. This is over a week later. I respond. I say, hi, following up again because I have a very serious claim of someone I spoke to. They wish to remain anonymous. According to this person, LAM does not, as advertised, does not exist currently, and LAM was a marketing term. I urgently need Jesse Liu's reply to this by end of day. I will not take anyone else's response. For such a serious claim, it has to be Jesse who answers. Again, why am I talking to your team? I mean, Jesse's busy. I get it. But if your team's going to get offended when I, ask them questions, I should not be talking to them, especially when you've got a person saying that what you're saying exists does not exist. And this is where the final response comes. Below is a statement that can be attributed to Rabbit in response to your inquiries. Given the approach and allegations of your first video and your treatment of the previous responses we provided, it is clear you're not interested in taking a balanced or objective approach in working with us in good faith. I just found that so strange. Like, what do you want? Like, I'm not collabing with you. I just disagreed with your statement of the timeline, and I had a bunch more evidence than you did. I don't know. I found that so weird. You can find your questions copied below, and beyond that, we won't have any further guidance with you, and this is their generic response. So that was the arduous comment process I went through with Rabbit, only to have them tell me that I'm not interested in an objective approach. Honestly, if they had been much more forthcoming about the Gamma stuff, there's a very good chance I would have never looked into the LAMP. to me, at first, the bigger story was this like 6 million. Where did it go? I've got this like reskin starter kit game. They're calling a metaverse. I've got this AI thing plugin that doesn't work. I've got clean energy grids that were promised, never delivered. I got Bitcoin 2.0 that was promised and never delivered. Like, it's ridiculous. That was the big story. But the way they responded to me, I was furious by the end of it. I'm not like actually mad, but it's just frustrating. I guess that's the best way to put it. It's so frustrating to have all these facts in front of you and none of it to matter or seem to be relevant in your conversation because they're just denying or not responding to or just completely ignoring stuff you're bringing up. And then to have them be like, ooh, we can't even respond to this guy you spoke to who worked for us because you're bad faith. It is just extremely annoying, and I just wanted to preempt any accusation by them that I'm not including all their responses, I'm not saying all their responses by putting it all here. Truthfully, the reason I didn't include it all in my video is look at the runtime of this. We've just covered our conversation, so I've tried to include it where it's relevant in the video and include specifically their responses where we had a factual disagreement. But as far as some of the other stuff, it's just sort of argumentative. It's just sort of gaslighting, and I didn't think it was as relevant. But I wanted it to be here as a record of, okay, this is what happened. This was the stuff that was said. There are some DMs with Jesse that I did not include here. I also tried to reach out to him personally. He basically just didn't take an interview the several times I offered it. And actually, that offer is still open. I am still, after all of this gaslighting, still willing to talk to these people, still willing to have that open dialogue, because I think it is important, but, you know, I just don't think that's going to happen. So that's a look behind the curtains of sometimes what it takes to kind of release a story, the lengths we go to try to hear people out, but also the kind of, you know, dodging people try to do. And you gotta keep saying, no, give me the answer. If you notice with the lamb, they just kept sending me to their same web pages where they had already explained it. I had already read it. And they just kept resending me to it. And you just kind of have to keep being like, no, you didn't answer that question. So anyways, did anyone learn anything? I hope so. Hope this was useful. And yeah, really annoyed me. But it was kind of cathartic to get it out here in the public. Okay, anyway, that's basically it.